Okay, so I am starting with last night I had washed my hair, I brushed it, and then I went to bed and let it dry overnight. So I am just wetting it down, getting it nice and wet, kind of trying to detangle a little bit. As you can see, I don't have a really strong curl pattern. It's more so a wave than anything. So when I'm at this point, I'm wringing out the water gently, but you can see it's still dripping. So it's still dripping a little bit. I'm going to add in my leave-in conditioner. So this is a product I would call a filler. So we use focusing on two different types of products, a filler and a sealer. So what the filler does is it adds moisture to the hair, and this particular one is a leave-in conditioner. And you can see I'm focusing around some areas that are more troublesome. Like I tend to get a little bit more frizz around my hairline, so I went over that area a couple of times. So at this point, my hair is dripping wet. I have a microfiber towel around my shoulders, but essentially that microfiber towel is just to try and keep my shirt dry. So my hair is dripping wet. I'm brushing through with a Denman brush, finger raking to create curl clumps, and then I'm using scissor fingers to smooth them together. So the goal is for you to put these curls into their little curl families so that once they're clumped together like this, that you don't get that frizz. So I have the best luck using a Denman brush. I feel like I get a different look to my curls when I use a Denman brush, but you can also just use your fingers and rake through until you have these nice little curl clumps, little ribbons of curl. You don't have to use a brush every time you do this. You can do it either way. But like I said, it gives it a little bit different look. When I'm brushing like this, you can see I pointed out I'm pulling it away from the scalp, kind of like the hands on a clock. So this routine doesn't take me too long, but as you can see on these sides here, I'm pulling it straight out from my scalp, raking those fingers, essentially just making those curl clumps. And you can see they're making kind of like ribbons. So your hair might feel kind of like seaweed, like slippery a little bit. It's got that filler product on there. I used a leave-in conditioner. But a curl cream or anything like that where it's going to add moisture to the hair, the filler doesn't really have much for any sort of hold to it. It's more just adding moisture in. Now I'm starting to scrunch, and you can see I kind of pulse my fingers together, and when I'm doing that, it should sound like a squeaky tennis shoe. So there's enough water in there. If you don't feel like it is making that noise, you need to use a spritz bottle and get your hair a little bit more wet. But like I said, I didn't wring out my hair dry after I rinsed it. I left a lot of the water in it, so I didn't have to add water, but sometimes you do. Through that mohawk section, I was pulling that straight up so I can get the most amount of volume. Now I'm trying to figure out what my part's going to look like. So I like to kind of set that part in there right off the bat so that otherwise I tend to have these lays kind of wonky in the front, and once I have it dry, I can't get it to lay differently. But you can see I'm scrunching that. All right. So, there's my little boy, Harrison, in the background. So I'm just scrunching that. And look at those ribbons of curl. So I don't have any little pieces that are flyaways. If you have those flyaways, it's not wet enough, or you didn't have enough leave-in conditioner in. So those little flyaways will create frizz. But mine's all clumped together really well. Now this is my sealer product. So this has a little bit of a hold to it. It's a gel, a little bit of a creamy gel. but this is going to help me create a little bit of a curl cast and keep my curls together in those curl clumps until I have it dry. I'm gentle when I'm flipping my hair back and forth, as you can see. Now I'm going to show you how to plop. So I've got my old t-shirt, really soft t-shirt. I'm putting the logo side up. I'm going to just gently flip my hair over, put it into the center of that, and I want to lay it down gently. I'm going to take the bottom of the shirt, wrap it around my forehead, crisscross in the back, and pull that along. And I'm going to use the sleeves and tie them forward. So it makes kind of like this little turban, but this is called plopping. And I wrap my hair up in there, let it air dry just a little bit, and then go do my makeup. Okay, so I've got my makeup on, and I'm gonna take the t-shirt off, gently flip it. I'm gonna start diffusing it. So I like to kind of halo around the top, get a little bit of my root area started to dry at the very beginning, and then that just helps me create the most volume on the top. And then as I go through the sides, trying not to touch it too much with my fingers. I just want to kind of help guide it into that diffuser. I count to about 10, as you can see I'm doing there with my fingers, and then I move on to the next section. So the less you touch it at this phase, the less frizz that you're going to have. I just work my way around all the way through. And you can see those nice curl ribbon coming through in the front, but you can see how diffusing my hair really brings the curl out a lot more, and that's just because I don't have a strong curl pattern. So if you have a stronger curl pattern, you could just take that t-shirt off. You could let it completely air dry if you wanted to. You don't have to diffuse it. But yeah, flip my head over and I start diffusing it that way. So I tend to dry my hair with a diffuser until it is completely dry. But like I said, you can air dry it. You could partially dry it. The key is you just don't want to be touching these curl clumps too much until they're completely dry. So even if you decide to air dry them, try and keep your fingers out of there. The more these stay in those little ribbons of curl, the less frizz you're going to have. So at this point, that sealer product, some products might be getting a little bit crunchy. If you have a stronger holding gel, don't worry about that. Later on, you'll be able to, once it's completely dry, you can scrunch that crunch right out. And so it doesn't leave it looking wet or anything like that. You can get, that's called a curl cast, and you can scrunch that away and your curls will be soft. But it is important to have a little bit of hold in order for your curls to kind of deflect the humidity or different things in the environment that can cause frizz. So the sealer is to help seal in the moisture, but it also seals out humidity. All right, so my hair is completely dry, and you can see I've got a little bit of crunchiness going on. I'm gonna go in, get my fingers really close to my root area, and I'm just going to shake it out. Not raking my fingers through, I'm just kind of shaking it just to kind of give it a little bit of lift. Now I'm doing a little bit of scrunch, and that is taking away that curl cast. So it's not going to be crunchy, my curls will be soft. And then I kind of maneuver around my face, figure out what I'm doing with these bangs or face framing that I have. A little bit of hairspray just to kind of hold things in place. You can see I have a little bit of those smaller pieces around my hairline that I was really focusing on with my leave-in conditioner at the very beginning. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with it.